Hello everybody, my name is Stacy. Welcome to my channel, The Liminal Space, and welcome to my reading for this eclipse that's happening at the end of the eclipse portal. This is the eclipse that's going to be in the north node of the moon. It's falling under the new moon sign of Pisces. The new moon will be in the sign of Pisces. And so a lot of times this is going to be presented to you as a new moon in Pisces or an eclipse in Pisces. But really, the eclipse energy is following the nodal shift, which happened, a couple weeks before the previous eclipse. And so the nodes moved into Leo and Aquarius. And so our last eclipse was in the south node of Leo. And so this eclipse energy is happening while it is technically a new moon in Pisces. The energy that we're dealing with is in the moon's north node. That is the ascending node. And it is right now in Aquarius because of the nodal shift. So, you can look at this moon as any way you want to, but for me, I really resonate with Aquarius energy because that is where the nodes are right now, and the nodes tie to the eclipses very strongly. Anyway, how has everybody been doing with eclipse season? It has been a kicker. It's been a lot. I was, after my last reading, I was just spontaneously drawn to doing a daily reading, kind of shadow work reading, and which I did. I posted those daily through eclipse season to help us with shadow work because I think it's a fabulous time to focus on things that we need to work on in our subconscious, things that we need to process through, and things that we need to release. Because eclipse energy brings in a whole lot of energy, but it helps us work through stuff that we need to release. I mean, there can be a lot of chaotic energy with the eclipse as well, but I've learned to try to channel that a little bit to help myself, to benefit myself. And shadow work especially this time around, has become really an integral part of this. So I hope you guys checked out some of those readings. If you didn't, no worries. If you found them, I think that they were there to help you find a way to process certain things. And it's been really beneficial to me. So, as I said, this is the lunar eclipse that is happening at the full moon. In some places in the world, it's going to be on August 27th. Where I am at, it is going to be in the early morning hours of August 28th. And so that's when I'm going to, present this video to you guys. The energy has been really intense in the world, as it can be during eclipses. The world has been intense for all summer, all spring, maybe for a couple years, but it really feels tight right now. So I, for one, am very grateful for the shadow work that I've been able to do and the work that I'm doing on the side of that. So we're going to kind of do the same thing that we did last time. And we're going to have 3 questions and we're going to look at 2 decks to help us through this. One thing I wanted to have here, I always like to work with crystals, and I always have certain things around me, and I always read with certain crystals, and they're off to the side. One is agate, that's to help ground me, and the other helps my communication aspect. But for the eclipse, I've been feeling very strongly associated to certain other crystals, of course. And so I brought them here to kind of represent what we're going through. Right now, this is labradorite. This is kind of working us through the darker aspects that we've been in. We've kind of been in a tunnel. We go through a tunnel basically during eclipse season. We enter it on the first eclipse and we exit it on the second eclipse. So we're kind of still in the darkness. And this is sunstone, and it represents the sun. To me, it's telling us that even though it's not the sun per se that blocks the moon, it is the Earth's shadow. So the sun shines towards the moon, but the Earth is in the way. So it's the Earth's shadow that causes that sort of pink tinged or bloody shadowing on the moon. And then when we come out of the eclipse portal, we're still dealing with moon energy, but I have clear quartz to kind of express that we are moving outside of that portal. And I'm going to try to set these over the side. I'm not sure if I'm going to have a ton of room for everything, but I'm going to try to fit it in. And if they don't all fit, well, that's fine too. And I'm looking at the same decks that we used last time. So the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous Oracle by Stacy DeMarco, and we're going to ask ourselves 3 questions, and then we're going to look at the Crow Redux, and that's going to give us sort of a way like an energy or an element or a bit of advice for each one of these questions that we're working with. So the last reading I did was pretty long, and I don't want to do that to you guys. I know that your time is incredibly valuable, and I don't want to make you think like, oh, I don't want to watch a 30-minute video. So let's see what we can bring through. So the questions that we're going to ask ourselves for this eclipse, and they're a little different than the questions that I asked with the last eclipse. Actually, two of them are the same, and the third one is different. But the first question will be, what do we need to know? The second question and card will be, what do we need to release? Because really that's what we're doing here. We're learning and releasing. And then the third question is going to be, what are we going to gain at the end of this eclipse portal? So I'm just going to shuffle. I'm going to cut the deck, and we're going to go with the first three cards. So we have, what do we need to know? What do we need to release? And what do we need to gain? Or what are we going to gain at the end of this? Boy, and sorry about my lights. I'm try to get that so it's not quite so glary on there so we can see the cards. And then after we look at each card, we'll kind of take a peek at the Crow Oracle's answer for us. So let's go ahead and look at our first question here. What do we need to know? And so we've been in this intense eclipse energy, and this was a question that we asked ourselves at the first eclipse as well. What do we need to know? But processing through the eclipse, living through it, even if you've done no shadow work, even if you did no other kind of work, you're going to feel different at the end of the eclipse cycle than you did at the beginning. So what do we need to know at this point of the eclipse cycle? And the answer is chaos, and it's the harpy card. Isn't this beautiful? In mythology, harpies were not really very nice. They were kind of nymphs combined with bird feathers and claws, and they were sent in to torment people, basically. But this is the energy of chaos, which I find really interesting because that's what the world feels like right now. Like the energy of chaos is all around us, and that is what the eclipses do in some ways. And I'm not saying that we all want to live in chaos, because we don't. It's not comfortable, and nobody wants to be in that state for very long. But chaos can shake things up, you know, and then things settle differently and you see them differently than you did before. I'm kind of reminded of those little shake toys that you used to have when you were a kid, you know, it had all the different like little things, and you tried to get them to float into different places like pockets or holes, and you could get points for that. That's kind of what this feels like. You know, you have to shake that game up to make the pieces fall into new places. And so that's kind of what we're at. So let me read what the card says here. So this is the Harpy card, and it says, the situation will evolve very quickly. Remove yourself from the influence of chaotic people and situations. Stand firm. Justice is being sought actively and may well be found. Organizing influences must be found to turn chaos into advantage. Don't be hungry for the wrong things. So that's interesting because we can create our own chaos, and by what we focus on during chaotic energy, we can manifest even if we don't want it. Like if we're focused on something we don't want, but we continuously focus on it, we can call that energy to us because of our focus. So focus on more positive things. Focus on goals that make you happy, that you're reaching forward to, not things that you fear, not things that you worry about. Do not focus on those things. I have learned the hard way that if you focus on that, if you live in fear, those things come to you. They find you because it's where your energy and vibration is at. So my advice always is grounding. I've really been working on grounding in a different way than I normally do, and I'm pretty well grounded anyways, but I have felt off during this eclipse. Some of it might have been, you know, just coming through the Lionsgate portal as well. So it's very important to ground. And if you don't want to do anything in your head, just go outside, sit under a tree, put your bare feet on the grass, stand in some running water. These are beautiful things to help us ground and connect. So one thing I like about this deck is it gives us a duality to work with. And I think that's important because that's what we're working with in eclipse this season. We're working with a duality, like the duality of the North and the South nodes, as in right now the Aquarius Leo portal. So right now the Aquarius energy is highlighted to us, but the duality in this card says the things that we're working with are justice and retribution, and then chaos and balance. And so I think at the end of this, we're going to feel some balance. I'm not saying it's going to be tomorrow or the next day. It may be 6 months from now, before we get to the next eclipse system. But balance is going to work its way through the chaos, and retribution is going to be here. And maybe that's not even the way we want to look at it, because retribution has sort of a dark sense to it, but justice feels balanced and appropriate. So that's the energy we're working with here. And let's take a look at the crow, and just to see what kind of card we have. And this is our answer right here. We have illusion. So the card that we have at the end of this is illusion, which is interesting because maybe, if you want to get really deep and connected to how infinite everything is in the universe and that we all create our own realities, everything in our lives is an illusion, which is hard to, it's hard to believe that's potentially true. It's like, no, I can't be creating this. I can't have wanted this. I can't be imagining this into happening. But so the answer here, or the energy we're going to work with through the chaotic energy till we come out to the end at balance, is illusion. And so she says this is another card that is inspired by the gifts of the crow. And this is a book by John Marsleff. And he tells a story about a raven whose name was Hitchcock, who had a bone to pick with another raven it thought was invading its space. However, that bird was a reflection in a visitor center window. This caused Hitchcock a great deal of frustration as he tried to fight off the intruder who would not leave. The illusion is similar to the moon card in the tarot. We see what we want to see to make sense of the story we create in our minds. Does your interpretation match reality, or are you acting on an illusion? So this card was inspired by a crow who was fighting off his own reflection, and you're not going to win against yourself, but the perception for him was that he was seeing himself and that was his enemy. And I'm not saying we're our own enemy, but sometimes the illusion that we have of the world looking out isn't necessarily the truth. It can be different. And so create your own illusion, but try to create a positive one, right? Be kind to strangers, open a door for somebody, let somebody go in traffic before you pull out. I mean, it's okay to do these kind of things. They can raise the vibration and help other people in ways that reverberate out in their lives and yours as well that you can't even imagine. So let's take a look at what our next card is. And this is the same card that we asked with our second card, or the second question that we asked with our second card last time. It is, what do we need to release? And so the card we have here is Treasure. And this is the Dragon card. And I love this card. And dragon energy is rising. If you've been seeing dragons, thinking about dragons, dreaming about dragons, dragon energy is rising. And it's a very strong, very high vibrational, and very cleansing energy. So, but the message here is treasure, but the card is dragon. And so this says that we need to release treasure. Let's see what the card says, because sometimes I don't want to release my treasures. I want to be like that dragon and sit on my big pile of gold and not let anybody close to it. But when I'm doing that, is it helpful to me? Is it gaining me any friends? Am I lonely sitting on my pile of treasures all by myself? So sometimes we need to release a little bit to make space for something else. And I'm not saying you give half your treasure away so you can gain somebody else's treasure in that place, but it would be it's amazing what can happen in our lives if we make a little space to allow something else to come in. Like I recently talked about, I think in my last eclipse video, but I've given notice at my job and I'm still going to work for several more weeks, but that's like almost 24 years of my life. What is going to take the place of that? Like what is going to come in? It's a little scary, but I refuse to live in fear about it. And yet I'm trying to give myself space to open up and allow something else to flow in. So in a way, I am giving away a little bit of that treasure and security and comfort that is gainful employment, good friends over the years. So let's see what the card says. It says, know what you treasure. Change is natural. Holding on to what is impossible long term. Protect what is important to you. Set proper boundaries and trouble may avoid you. Be strategic, think ahead, be brave. You can actually triumph if you try. It says here, perhaps one of the most well-known creatures in the darkness across many world cultures is the dragon. And dragons come in all sorts of different things: four-legged, two-legged, winged, snaked, water dragons, air dragons, like fire dragons. It's amazing. Like dragons made of trees, dragons made of precious, minerals. Like a dragon can be almost anything you want it to be, and they carry that energy as well. Anyways, it says here, from ancient Sumeria, Japan, China, Korea, right across Egypt and the Middle East, across Europe, through the Bible, even Sufi poetry, all have dragon lore. While they may be described differently depending on where you are from, dragons are almost always have a serpentine form, are large, tailed, scaly, and often live hidden in places like caves, deep pools, or inside mountains. Asiatic and Middle Eastern dragons are most likely great serpents, sometimes with legs, sometimes without, and are often strategic and intelligent in their mythos. Chinese dragons are beautiful and are considered aligned with the element of rain and bringers of good fortune. European dragons are most often winged, can breathe fire or spit venom, and have been the target of heroes who kill them in order to win a prize, overcome something, completely a given task, or recover and steal a dragon's hoard of treasure. Of course, this comes to us in several novels over the years. It makes me think of Beowulf. It makes me think of, which, who knows, maybe that is a true story, retold over the years. Even like it shows up in Tolkien's stories, the myths of the dragon. So anyway, it says here, both terrible and beautiful, dragon magic is still strong today. Keep that in mind. Dragon magic is still strong today. So let's see how we're going to work with this energy of the dragon that's coming through for us. And I'm pretty excited about this. And I really think that this message coming in this place is not telling us that we really need to release a dragon, but we need to release stuff, whether it's mental stuff, spiritual stuff that's holding us back, physical stuff. If you have clothes in your closet that you haven't touched for 5 years, you probably don't need them. Let them go. Somebody else might benefit from them. It's certainly not going to hurt you to make some space in your closet, and something else might flow in. This is just the same kind of idea in a different way. Okay, that card just flew out for us. So we have Wrath. And isn't that interesting? Because dragons can seem awful wrathful. They can be frightening and scary, and sometimes it's even like an energy that people want to send out as a warning. But this is what the card says about wrath. And let me kind of pull this up so you can see this a little bit better. This is just really a murder of crows here, right? And I have never been in the middle of such a bunch of crows. I mean, the most I've probably ever seen in my life together is a couple dozen. I'm from the country. We don't get a lot of crows. We do see ravens here more than we ever used to, but I imagine it is a little bit frightening to be caught in the chaos of that many crows chirping and clawing and scratching and swooping. It says here, one day I heard the sound of what could have been hundreds of crows outside my window. The sky was nearly black with swarms of angry birds dive-bombing the tree outside my apartment. A young raccoon had killed a baby crow. The energy in the air was almost palpable. You could feel the anger of the crows as well as the fear of the raccoons who clung desperately to the tree for life. Wrath creates a powerful energy. It can be destructive, it can prompt revenge, and it can lead us down a path that is hard to recover from if one acts on this emotion. Wrath can be destructive it can prompt revenge, and it can lead us down a path that is hard to recover from if one acts from this emotion. So I think this is really an interesting energy because I feel like it's telling us not to react, to release, and then not to react right away, not to pull something in because it might not be the right thing. Let something flow into you and be calm about it. When we create energy and chaos, it reproduces that chaos. When we create energy and calmness, it reproduces that calm. So this energy is really about the shifting balance between chaos and calm, and really the two nodes of the moon. So let's take a look at what our third question is and what the card will reveal to us. And this time it says, what are we going to gain at the end of this eclipse cycle? And this is going to be the energy that takes us all the way through the next 6 months. So We have Mirror, and this card is Fetch. And I have to tell you, this is not a card that has come up for me ever in a personal reading. And when this happens, I know this is definitely a reading for the collective. And there's something really interesting about the artwork here. It's almost like we are getting the eclipse. We have one side of the eclipse, the other side of the eclipse, the energy at the first one, the energy at the second one, how they are both parts of the same thing, you know? So this is really interesting. And it's a mirror card, and it says Fetch. And as I have not ever pulled this card for myself, I'm very unfamiliar with it. So I'm excited to learn about it. So it reads here, there are different parts of yourself that could do different tasks. Look for the real self within the shadow. What you see in the mirror may not always be true. Society can sometimes dictate what your appearance should be to fit into societal norms. Discard this idea if it doesn't fit or benefit you. So really, this also is about illusion, which kind of triggers back to this card here. Like there is a person back here holding this mirror or reflection of herself. We don't know what she actually looks like. We do know that there are two images, almost like sides of a coin, that are being presented. But who is the real you? Not this person, not this person. It's you. Be yourself. And the duality aspect of this card is reflection versus reality. So I think that this is telling us to present ourselves in reality. Don't present ourselves as the world wants to see us or people tell you you should be. Be who you want to be. Dress how you want to dress. Listen to the music you want to listen to. Be yourself. Life is short. You're here to learn on your soul's journey. You're also here to have fun. This is a beautiful gift of life here on earth, even though the energy is really hard right now. And I truly believe that we're here for a reason. We are here to help pull through a new world, a new sense of energy, a new way the world works. And that's a beautiful thing. And I think part of allowing that energy to come through is being ourselves. So don't be the illusion. You don't have to be, this is like stereotypical, but you don't have to be the good girl or the bad girl. You can be who you are, wherever that is, whatever that means. Allow yourself to be. So let's take a look at what our energy is for this card. We'll do the last card here, and we have Curiosity. So weird that this card popped up, because when I was coming to do this reading today, I was like, what are we going to gain, or what is going to benefit us, or what can we do in the coming months to help this new world, to help ourselves? And I thought, we all have to be curious. And so here it is. Curiosity is the answer here. And this card actually came up for us in our last reading. I remember it distinctly. I'm going to show this to you. It was in a different placement, but it was here. And so there's all of these crows out here on the line outside in the city, and they're just hanging out, living their lives. But there's this one dude. He is curious. He's found an open doorway, and not only is he looking at it, he's coming inside, he's checking out the boots, and he's going to work in a little bit more. And so, I mean, be yourself and be curious. That feels like the answer to how we come out of this eclipse cycle, what we've gained, how we benefit. So let me read this, okay? An open door is an open invitation for this brave crow. What treasures might wait if you are bold enough to step through and explore? Curiosity encourages you to open doors, peek inside, and analyze what you find. This is a time to dig in, do your research, and uncover the hidden opportunities just beyond your comfort zone. Don't shy away from asking questions or investigating what lies beneath the surface. Taking the initiative now could lead to unexpected discoveries and valuable insights. Remember, sometimes the greatest rewards come to those willing to take a closer look. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And I think if we allow ourselves to be open and curious, be careful, of course, what you bring in, but it's okay to be curious. It's okay to be open. It's okay to learn new things. That's how we grow and progress. And sometimes to bring in new things, we have to release. All right. And we have to know that if we work in the energy of chaos, we're going to reproduce chaos. So work in the energy of calm and you will reproduce calm, is how I see that. Like if chaos and calm were a balance, we're better off working in calmness than chaos. Now, Some people are chaos magicians and can work amazing things in chaos. But I always find that what you get can be very unseen and unexpected. And sometimes it's hard to handle the answers that you get. And I'm not telling you not to work with chaos, but be careful when you do. I have worked with chaos magic in the past, and I don't shy away from it now, but I have learned that that might not be the best thing for me. You know, crazy things can happen. Sometimes crazy good, sometimes crazy not so good. But I think at this point in my life, and maybe for all of us right now, because there's so much energy churning around us, that if we work in calmness, we're going to really have beautiful and better benefits. Anyways, happy eclipse season. I hope you survived the eclipse all right. I hope that you caught some of the daily readings that were kind of shadow work to help us process through this energy. It has been so helpful to me, just pulling those cards and speaking through them, you know, guidance from my higher self or my guides, and things that I hope help not just myself, but other people. And I hope we all weather this energy all right. Now, just because the eclipse is done, that doesn't mean we're done with the energy. Like any moon cycle, usually feel the energy for 3 days, you know, a day before, a day of, a day after. But with eclipse energy, there's like a little shadow. It's almost like when planets go retrograde, there's a little shadow period before and after. So you might still feel this energy for the next week or two, but it is going to be lightening up. So anyway, I wish you all luck. I hope you've enjoyed these readings. My name is Stacy. My channel is The Liminal Space. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.